Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing something else different. Today I'm going to be telling you about the three scariest creepypastas in my opinion. First thing I'm going to say is essentially I'm going to give a rundown of these scariest creepypastas, like in my opinion. I'll first share the creepypasta and then I'll give a summarized rundown about like what the creepypasta is about. So I'll start with like the least scary first and then I'll go down the most scary. And just want to just tell you something. There's a spoiler alert. There's no Slenderman. But I personally feel he's redundant and that it's overrated, and a lot of people keep talking about him all the time. So like, yeah, I actually did my research, and by research I mean like I was watching and listening to a Tub video where he does like a rundown on creepypastas, and there I got the idea. So I picked out like the three scariest creepypastas from there, and I did a bit more research. But yeah, let's start. Alright, so the first creepypasta we're going to be talking about today is going to be the Laughing Jack. So for the least scary creepypasta that I've chosen is going to begin with Laughing Jack. Apparently there are two different stories of the Laughing Jack. One was featured on Tuff's channel, which is like a modern version, but then I found another one which was like a more like older version, and honestly I found the older one like less scary, so I'm going to start with the older one first. So the way the story goes is that there was this boy called Isaac in 1800s of England, like really medieval, like old times, and he gets a doll for his birthday. I guess getting dolls back then were cool. So this doll was like a cool toy that grows to like its owner, in which in this case was Isaac. So if Isaac is happy, the doll is happy. If Isaac is angry, the doll is angry. If Isaac is sad, then the doll is sad. So fast forward many years, Isaac leaves Jack at his house because Isaac has gone to the city and he's now studying there. He's a big boy now. Feel me? Big boy. So he's currently like a violent serial killer. Cringe. And as Isaac grows more violent each day, like doing his violent serial killing stuff, yeah. I'm clearly reading from the screen. He one day just like was doing his normal stuff, and until all of a sudden, Pop Goes the Weasel starts playing, which is like it goes like dun dun. You know what? I'll play it for you. Yeah. Yeah. So is it so yeah, that song sounds pretty familiar for you, shouldn't it, right? Yeah. And eventually like the TLDR is that Isaac kills him in brutal ways. That Laughing Jack like then goes on spreading terror in similar fashion by befriending someone and proceeding to kill them afterwards, usually children. So I'm honestly gonna say that was a lame one, but I would have rated that story 6.5 out of 10. But the modern version is the saving grace for this story. So essentially it's a modern version where there's a single mom with her son James. Her son is about 6 to 7 years old, like just a simple child. So apparently the mom was doing dishes and she heard her son talking to someone outside. So she, being the curious mom, goes out to see who he was talking to. And when she asked James said he was talking to Laughing Jack. So she dismissed it as normal, as maybe kids around his age were like getting imaginary friends, and considering James isn't really like that much of the social kind of guy, he thought like, yeah, sure. Then later that night, the mom had a terrible nightmare where she saw a circus and there was like Pop Goes the Weasel was playing again, and some kids were brutally murdered. There were candy stuff in their bellies. So the next day the same thing happened with James, and he said that he was hanging out with Laughing Jack. So his mom came up and saw he had candy in his hands, but the candy had a similar wrapper to the one that was in the nightmare. So that freaked her out. So she asked her, like instigated him, like, where did you get this candy from? But then James wouldn't lie. James kept saying, I got it from Laughing Jack. She also knew, his mom, and she knew that her son would never lie to her. So essentially, eventually that night things got like weird, and like she thought Laughing Jack might be real and might be coming for them. And eventually she heard James screaming in his room. She rushed with a knife, but his room was a complete mess and James was crying. Then later she went to the telephone, like the kitchen, because there was a telephone there, and she was greeted by the sight of their pet dog gutted and hung. There was candy stuff in his belly in similar fashion how Laughing Jack does it. So the mom knew like what was up. She proceeded to look after James better for the following night. That night she stayed up all night, but eventually she fell asleep. She gave way. Then she heard a ear-piercing scream from James' room. She realized that there had been knife. That she brought her knife to James' room until she saw James had been nailed to the wall, like brutally nailed to the wall. But then, and he's like his organs were exposed. He was like, his eyes were scooped out and shit. There was just blood everywhere. But by some miracle, he was still alive, but like barely. So she then faced off with Laughing Jack and tried to stab him. But however, like she stabbed Laughing Jack, but then he like poofed, and then apparently she actually stabbed James like beating hard. And eventually she died. She was sent to a mental institution, and everything was fine. But eventually, a few months later, she heard Pop Goes the Weasel song again, and that's where the story really ends. Personally, I feel that the modern version of the story is better, the goriness is insane, and that is something that I look for in a good creepypasta. So honestly, I'll give this creepypasta an 8.5 out of 10. Now we're going to be getting to the really well-known creepypasta, like Jeff the Killer. I ranked him as second, by the way. Yeah, so however, like, this is probably like one of the most well-known creepypastas. However, like, people do not know much about like the story. They only really care about the picture, because it looks freaky. So so the way the story goes is that there's Jeff, and then his family moved to a rich neighborhood. Alright, every once in a while Jeff will get a weird feeling, like just weird thrumming, and then he'll be like, he feels agitated. So he did not know what it was, but it happened to him once in a while. So one day Jeff and his brother were going to school, like his brother Leo. They were waiting at the bus stop to go to school, and then bullies pulled up in typical gang fashion. They pulled up, and they tried beating both of them, and then eventually Jeff got like that weird feeling again, so he proceeded to beat the living daylights out of the bullies. Afterwards, both of them ran to school and did not talk to each other about what had happened. Jeff liked that feeling of hurting someone, though he didn't like the way it sounded. He kind of liked, like, yeah. The next day the police came down and incriminated both Jeff and Leo. Jeff told them everything, like the whole truth and stuff, like that he was the one that did everything. However, Leo just stood there, and then Leo like just decided, he decided to lie and take the blame and go to juvenile hall. So the next few days Jeff was in absolute misery because he had no one to talk to and no one to hang out with. Then the weekend arrived. Apparently the family was supposed to go to their neighbor's kid's birthday party. However, Jeff did not want to go because of the whole Leo incident. Like, he was a bit torn about his brother and shit. So however, his parents forced him, so he went to the room and he put on some simple clothes, and then his parents were dressed in suit and dresses. His mom told him it was a fancy party, so put on something that's a bit more like, fancy. But then since they were getting late, they had to rush. Then Jeff had realized that everything was so fancy. He decided to hang out with the kids at the back, only to realize it was like a Western themed, like, cowboy party, and the kids were very young, like 7, 8. Yeah. Eventually a kid came up to him and asked him if he wanted to play. Jeff decided to play with them because like the kid gave like a puppy dog face, like a cute face, and he was like, fine, I'll help. And for a while he was actually having fun and not thinking about Leo for after a long time. All of a sudden, like, the bullies pulled up again. They put up in their skateboards again, and then they were like, they just started beating Jeff up, and then eventually one of the bullies like said something about Leo, and Jeff got that weird feeling again. He proceeded to beat the crap out of the bullies. He beat the first bully and like basically killed him. He had like foam coming out of his mouth, and long story short, he and the main bully got into a fight. Bully were fighting, and all the parents were watching as they both as the bullies were like armed. They had guns with them. So eventually as Jeff was running up the stairs, he got like vodka fell on him. He was running to the bathroom. He needed somewhere to hide. So and then eventually when they got to the bathroom, he and the main bully Troy, they actually, like, the main bully's name is Troy, but like they both got in a fight, and then all of a sudden like a bottle of bleach, I think of bleach, fell down on them and burning both of them. Then the bully then proceeded to laugh. He started laughing, and then Jeff asked him, why are you laughing? And he was like, you're covered in vodka and bleach. And then he just proceeded to take a lighter and then burn Jeff. So Jeff was like on fire basically. So Jeff eventually like got unconscious, and then like their parents helped to put him out. So after that whole event, the police decided to release Liu from juvenile hall. So a few weeks later, Jeff had recovered from the burns, and the doctors were ready to take out the band-aids on his face. But when they took it off, they saw a scary face, like a really messed up. His face was horrendous. His eyelids were burnt, his skin was pale, and there was a gash on his mouth. His mom just couldn't take it, so she just like covered him off. And then but then Jeff was happy. He found it perfect. He kept smiling and looking at his face in the mirror, and then the doctor told his parents that it's fine. He's just in shock. This normally happens to patients, and they will give a check in a few days to see if he's still recovered. Then that night, his mom walks past the toilet, and she heard Jeff crying. Then Jeff opened the door, and he was bleeding and crying, and he said he's cut his eyelids so he can always see his perfect face, like an absolute demon. And he widened the smile so he looks happy, and told his mom to get the gun. Then Jeff was standing at the alleyway with a knife, and he said, "Why'd you lie, mommy?" She proceeded to kill both of his parents. He went to Leo's room and stabbed him while saying, "Shh, go to sleep." Pretty fire story. I've got to give it, like, it's pretty fire. So obviously the story is pretty fire, just like I said, and the story alone I'll give it an 8 out of 10. However, the mystery behind the picture is another reason why like my ratings go up. So for those of you that do not know, the creepiness of the characters enhanced by the rumor of the original killer Jeff's heavily edited photo that was taken from a girl called Katie Robinson. She posted a low quality picture of herself on 4chan, which is like this image board, like it's basically like an old version of Reddit that's really messed up. So she posted like a low quality picture of herself, and it's been actually. But the truth is, they thought that was her. But then the truth is, that picture has been proven untrue because it dates back all the way back, like many years back, to a Japanese website. But like no one really knows the true like origin of the story. So this is one thing that like keeps the mystery kind of interesting. You feel me? So yeah, pretty fire creepypasta. Hence I give it a 9 out of 10. Alright, bruh. Now we are in for a real one. If you have not shit your pants yet, this one will. Cause let me just first tell you, this is the scariest creepypasta I know. It shakes me to my very core. Every time I search it up to see the picture of it, it just makes me scared as hell. I just can't. I can't live with it. I swear to God. So the way it's actually Smile Dog for your info. It's Smile Dog. Yeah. So the way the story goes is that it's an author. The author is an amateur journalist. He's just starting out and he's looking for jobs. He has a forum on newspaper and he's more interested in gaining knowledge than actually like doing his job, like the journalism stuff. He also does like part-time studying, so he also has like exams and stuff. So then he eventually gets an email from a woman called Mary E. She said that she has an interesting topic to talk about. So I'm guessing she like read the forum and then she like decided, to just call him and talk to him. Then she said she wanted to share about this topic called the Smile Dog and how she experienced it and how her like life like of living it is. So apparently our hero, I'm gonna call him my hero, yeah, he knew about Smile Dog. He had heard about it when he was in school, but he dismissed it as he thought it was fake. And also he had exams back then, so he was like a bit more, like he had other stuff to worry about than that. So however, he still went to Mary's house for the interview. When he got there, Mary had apparently locked herself in a room, like the bathroom. Her husband Terence told him that she had done this, like she's been dealing with this situation for years and it's been very bad. She said it's been dating back for 50. Actually, I also don't remember, but it's an absurd amount of time. Mary said that she would do the interview behind a closed door. She said how years back she was working at a BBS board, and then she and her colleagues all got an email saying, "Smile, God loves you." It was a picture called Smile.jpg. She and her fellow colleagues all opened the image to see a picture of a Siberian husky with a human teeth smiling and seeing a hand at the back, which was described as beckoning. And some believed that it was the hand of the devil himself. It was red in color and it was like that. Every night they went to sleep, they got epileptic fits where they see the Smile Dog and it tells them to spread the word. Eventually, he left as Mary could not continue, and he decided it was probably just a waste of time. And he decided to leave the story as he had exams, like final exams coming up at the end of the year, and he didn't really want anything disturbing. Then he completely like forgot about this whole situation. Then a year later he gets an email from Mary where she apologizes about the interview and she talks about how Smile Dog has been tormenting her for years and that she got a floppy disk that she like after she saw it and it kept telling her to spread the word. The next day she got like a floppy disk which like she already knew what it meant because it was also labeled as Smile. So she realized that day that she had been planning that apparently she was, when she found out that our hero was coming to interview her, she decided that why not, let me just give him the floppy disk. But she later realized that she's actually just like planning to ruin our hero's life. So that guilt of that just disgusted her. So she locked herself in the room and she couldn't face him. That's what she wanted to say. She said she then ended the email by saying, "Please don't do this. I urge you to stop investigating that before it becomes too late." A few days later, Terence called him and told him that Mary had killed herself. She was sobbing uncontrollably on the phone. He told him he told him he should stop his investigation and listen to Mary. He told him that when he burned the disc, the disc seemed to like it was hissing, like it was making like a sound. And then after a whole situation, the journalist decides to stop investigating. He first thought that Terence might be pulling his leg, might be joking. Then he decided to see recent deaths on the newspaper, like obituaries and shit, and he found out that Mary had actually truly died, but they never mentioned anything about suicide. So upon this, she just stopped his investigation. Then later, a few weeks later, he gets an email from a person saying that they have seen the real Smile Dog picture and it's not as bad as it is. The last words chew him down his bones, like when he ended the email. The person said, "Just spreading the word." So long story short, our author couldn't take it and he just decided to just see the picture and he decided to put it on a board so people who are interested in this matter will also see it. And yeah, that's kind of really where the story ends. Honestly, this gotta be the scariest story on the list. The reason is the story. The story just sounds really real. It's like by incorporating real stuff like web balls, chain emails and stuff like that. The very few of receiving email that His smile just haunts me. Not to mention the dog is scary as hell. Every time I see that picture, that shit just gets stuck in my head, bro. I swear to God. It's oh yeah, I'm just saying that's not the real picture. Like they said, the real picture is probably fake, but the uncanniness of the dog is truly terrifying. They can screw your head over. Hence, I give the Small Dog a rating of 9.5 out of 10. I feel there's more potential, and there can be a Small Dog movie. And like there was one for Slenderman, also one for Jeff the Killer. I see a lot of potential in these creepypastas. I know I missed other like creepypastas like Eyeless Jack, Bandron, and The Rake. I might cover them next time, but you guys can comment on other creepypastas you would like to see. You guys can check down below the top video. Like you can watch that. It's like 2 hours. It's an hour and a half, I think. But like yeah. I definitely was not. I definitely was not reading from a script right now, and I'm not reading from a script as we speak. So either ways, thanks for watching. See you next time, and comment down if I should do more of these.